So first and foremost, thank you so much for taking a minute out for the show today. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
So before we begin and we get into your good work, I want to know this. 6 years ago, this pandemic was a fork in the road and changed our lives.
Uh-huh.
How did you get through that era, and how has it affected the way that you do things today?
So COVID absolutely, and it's going to sound strange at the surface, but let me dive in, was a big blessing in my life because it was the first time I was able to put away everything else. Like I was literally able to just lock in on music at that point. It was like, okay, I don't have to worry about kids and schooling. I don't have to worry about my other income streams and the more entrepreneurial thing. I could literally take what I started out doing when I was 20 years old and in sound engineering school was music. And so for me, COVID allowed me to hyper focus on this thing. And so it was beautiful, man. And a good friend of mine at the time, his name Dino Campanella. He's in a band called Dredge. He was also in lockdown. So we started crafting songs, and he's a real scientist of sound. So every day it became this thing where I was just going deeper inside the song, and he said something that I really loved, and that was, when you think it's done, remember you got probably 40% more when you
Yeah.
think it's done. That's when the magic, that's when a song goes from this to a magical song. And so from that perspective, I thought COVID was an amazing thing. Now it stopped the trajectory I had for touring. Like I had some cool shows right before COVID hit. And I was all amped up, ready to go on this thing. And so then it pivoted, but really it let me as a sound engineer go further. It let me as a songwriter go further. It let me kind of focus in, spend more time, like just family time, and really tighten things up. So obviously there's trials and tribulations and struggles to being confined for so long, but it really was a turning point in my music making, because of what it allowed it to do.
So let's get into the work that you do right now. I'm going to put you in front of 12-year-olds at career day.
Yeah.
One of the kids wants you to synthesize your day job to make sense to their brains. How do
Uh-huh.
you answer them?
So I would say my day's a balance of priorities based on the task at hand. I have a real estate brokerage that I founded 5 years ago. I've been in real estate since I was 23 years old. I had a son at 23, so I started selling real estate to provide and then allow me to make music. And so slowly I kept going at real estate, music, and eventually writing. And those things all kept going. Now let's fast forward 2 decades later, and now they're all thriving in their own right. So I guess what you would have to say, kids, is that I'm multidimensional,
Yeah.
and so I do the task at hand in every given day. I still have the real estate micro brokerage that I work. I make music in an ever increasing amount, and I have, whatever, 125 songs out now, and having fun with that. I released a book, uh, got published with Skyhorse and Simon and Schuster in March. So that endeavor created a situation where now I'm taking it front facing, and I'm doing a lot of podcasts. So as long-winded as that is, if I said it any quicker, it would be difficult to make sense of it.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, they would totally dig up on that, and I'm sure they would hone in on the music. So what did you want to be when you were a kid? What was your dream gig?
so my whole childhood, I was like, I'm either gonna do music or I'm gonna do real estate.
Okay.
I love the freedom of both of those things. And so it was like music, real estate. Music was always, since my earliest days, what I gravitated to and got lost in. 5 years old, making music, taking two tape decks, recording from one to the other, and just putting my voice on tape and getting lost in that world. So at its core, I never lost that fun that I had at 5 years old. And every time I go down the studio steps, downstairs here, or into any studio, it's just that excitement of entering that world that I love. So, to me, that really, I never lost it and I never stopped it. Now I struggled in times over my life until a certain point where I made a change, but that was always what I was focused on doing with my time.
So what was going on around you? Take me back to your childhood. What were you seeing that led you to want to be creative, to get into real estate, to do all of these things well,
Uh-huh.
writing?
Yeah.
How did all this happen?
Well, I guess we could start at the beginning of the origin, because I think it's important. So, like, when I was very young, my dad was a professional motorcycle racer, and we had a couple motorcycle dealerships. So I was immersed in this really fun tribe of motorcycle racers, and it was very free flowing, right? So I got a taste of what a culture's like that just lives on its own terms, enjoys their time, and everybody kind of around me was passionate about their thing. Like they loved what they did. So then, about 6 years old, uh, my dad lost his shops, had a massive accident racing, and our house burnt down all in the same year. So everything got taken, and he pushed away the motorcycle culture. Times got heavy. And so in having no house and having this donated trailer we lived in, music was my way to fill that spot. I self-filled it with music. And so once that seed was planted at that early time, it was always something that I just kept returning to, kept developing. And it went on like that um, until I was in, 21 years old. And I went to sound engineering school. And there I was in my tribe. I finally got back to my world, and um, 4 months in, I think, my girlfriend at the time got pregnant and my son was on the way. So I had to leave sound engineering school, had to take care of my duties, had to make money. And so my philosophy, like I had said, was music, real estate. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get into the real estate thing to fund, to be able to sustain it, because it didn't work out with me and his mom. I had to drive 5 hours on Friday to go pick him up and come back. So I had to have freedom in my life in order to see my son and in order to keep making music. So it worked beautifully within my life, and I was able to focus on it um, in a way that I always do well for the people I'm working with. But it was never like a front facing thing where like, here's my card, call me. It was like, I'm going to service this, I'm going to deal with referrals, but I'm also very much focused on family, very much focused on music, and I'm going to make sure that I maintain these things in my life regardless. So I had a very specific, reason for kind of that trajectory.
So who's your inspiration? Who was the one that really has allowed you to become who you are, to taste this success and the right and left brain worlds that you exist in? Who's that hero for you?
I think we could go closest to home, and um I had a great uncle that really inspired me, Uncle Jim, and he was multidimensional himself. He was an accountant, but he worked with, a lot of really successful people, a lot of people in entertainment. He had a background where he was semi-pro baseball with like the San Francisco Seals at the time, and really pushed in a lot of different categories and showed me that is possible. And I think that also, if you look at my father, and when I saw what he did with racing, and like I mentioned this in my book, like all the trophies were on the wall. Like it's like I remember thinking, man, this is pretty impressive. Like stacking the accomplishments like this, and then fast forward a little more, and like when we would go to the gym, I'd go to the gym with him when I was like 7 or 8, and he'd work to the point of being nauseous, and that was just that was literally what I saw, like it was just, that's how you lift weights. So, it kind of became part of it too. And I think that um those aspects stuck with me. But also I think from an inward thing is, I hit a rough patch in my mid 20s. I hit a rough patch, man, where I wasn't thriving. I wasn't doing well. I wasn't hanging out the right people in the right places. I was making bad decisions, and I was kind of watching everybody around me go forward and thriving. They were all getting married, they were all getting jobs and doing very well, and I was really kind of stuck in my own mind. And then I had a night where enough things came together in the negative, where I'm like, I don't really resemble who I am now, and this is not who I was. So far from like optimize me, that I literally said, enough's enough, time to switch. And I got mad at myself. And that's where I call, purpose through pain. Is like, from that moment forward, which is now 18 years ago, I've just loved the everyday progress thing. Like I crave it, man. Like I crave every day waking up and have these different categories where I can look at and say, how can I improve on this? And I love looking back weeks and months and saying, oh man, I've really gained some traction at. I didn't see it necessarily day to day. I just kind of enjoyed the day, but you know, there's a lot of traction I made in that thing, or the music audience is growing, or oh man, I'm putting myself out there and I've done 15 podcasts or what, like, you're starting to see those wins. And so that's just what I craved. And I've been doing that same thing for 18 years. And so that's really, I think, just the self-motivation of it was just realizing that I was off pace, and now kind of a no look back. You can look in the rear view every now and then, but like, I'm looking forward, man.
Yeah, for sure. So, as a musician and a writer, who were you reading? Who were you listening to? Who did you emulate that's kind of influenced the way that you create?
Well, I think as a writer, because I started writing my book 8 years ago. It took me about 7, 8 years to finish it. So I wasn't really a reader in my life before you know, 2019 range. Like that's when I picked up a Kindle. Uh I opened up a book. Um it was this book, Mark Recklow, 30 Days, Change Your Habits, Change Your Life. And I read that book, and he just kind of gave all these little tidbits that he collects from various categories. Like you're the sum total of the five people you hang out with, right? It was the first time I heard that. Now, a lot of people say that and hear it, but that was the first time. And so as a writer, and as a reader, I got really avid about reading then. So I had started my book a little bit before that, more writing it down. But as I started reading more, it it changed from I'm going to write down my story to like I'm going to really take this serious and kind of wear the hat, of a writer. Um, The War of Art, Stephen Pressfield.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've read that book,
yeah,
but to me, game changer. I mean that book summarizes, I think, the artist's struggle, and I mean, let's take back artist. I think all of our struggles and that resistance to why you're not stepping up to the plate. um we could take it to this thing, why someone might flake on an interview or not do the podcast or not take the thing or not take the you know the audition or not take the whatever it is. And so that resistance to like, oh, you're getting closer to your thing, and then you feel more resistance. So I love that book in particular because it's such a powerful truth that we love, that I love. And I think Tools of the Titans was another one. There's just I guess I would say that I've stacked so many now in the book category where you get so much from so many different pieces. Stephen King's On Writing was
yeah,
a game changer for me. You read that one?
yeah.
I mean, so all right, so I'll just dive into something on this because I know you come from the background of freestyle a little bit. The I had written my book for like 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
and I had sent it out to some people for some feedback, and they're like, "It's good, it's good, but he's name dropping a little bit, and you're not going deep into things. You're kind of jumping around him." So then I was like, "All right, man, I'm gonna wake up at 4 a.m. every day. I'm gonna read a little of this Stephen King book because he calls out writers in that thing. Like he puts you on notice, like do your thing, read. If you're any good, you can do. And so I would read that, have that energy from reading that, and then I would work my edits, and it was this magical combination where that book, hearing it from one of the best. Now I don't read his genre, but it doesn't matter because like that book in and of itself is one of my top all times, and I get what he does, and no lazy writing, no in music, it's like no lazy lines, no weak lines. It's like I applied that same thing then to the book. It's like, all right, no weak lines, Ben. Like, what does that sentence say? Why does it say it? And go from there.
So, if you can meet anybody on the planet right now that you admire, have a lunch, hang out with them a little bit that might help you on your journey, who would you love to sit down and talk to?
So it's not directly in my category, but I'm fascinated with what Arnold Schwarzenegger's been able to do
Yeah.
multidimensionally. Like I've thought a lot about this question, and I'm kind of at a loss for someone who said, "All right, now I'm going to do this," and then did it so damn well. Like all right, I'm gonna leave the immigrant journey. I'm gonna leave my country. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna take advantage of the opportunities. I'm gonna bodybuild and become the best at it. And I'm gonna go into movies, you know, and then I'm gonna go into politics.
Yep.
And then he goes into books. Like, be useful, man. That's a great book. Like, I love it. I read that thing and I like it's kind of like the same energy I want people when they read mine, but I'm not equating myself to his book. I'm just saying the energy. Um, so I would love to soak up a little bit of his mentality. If we're talking about a motivational person, I think he would be kind of top on my list. That's alive,
Yeah.
that's breathing, for sure.
So let me ask you this. What is the energy for you to do this diversified professional life that you have between all these creative pursuits, real estate, family, your soul? When you wake up in the morning,
Uh-huh.
what is it that gets you going, that gives you that energy to do all of this at a high level?
I think that the challenges of it, the perpetual challenges of it. So, um, like like today, it was like, okay, I got a song from my guy Maggiore over in Italy. He wants me to do a verse on, a chorus on. I got another one coming in from a producer in France. I got an acoustic one with my acoustic guy John. I had this podcast, so I look at it and I'm like, okay, like, all right, hit the these are exciting things that I can kind of, bounce around and give me the excitement. And so I'm really enjoying the process of it. And so it kind of, like to kind of go back, like I've created that world which I lost so young, and now I get to be in this thing. But now it's different because it's my thing. It's like it just was organically came out. So I would say that, man. And then also, like, I always read first thing in the morning. And if I'm reading something that's more just like, I don't say filth, but not like motivating, I don't get that same pump. I need like I'll reread a book that like gives me that jump to the morning to where I could sit down with my cup of coffee and be like, okay, all right, I'm liking what this is saying here. Like that like I felt like I talked to that person a little bit, and then they stick with me through the day. So that's what I do. And I mean, I don't want to act like I'm all happy and sunshine all the time. Like, but I'll just do the stuff anyway, like just whatever. I don't need to be happy. Like I'll do it regardless. And I think that's critical too. Like, I'm not doing it
Yep.
when I feel good, like sometimes the best stuff comes out when you're not feeling that good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight and you ran into the 18-year-old version of you, you walked into the room, there's a film projector, you click play, 60-second highlight reel of the life you've lived, the choices you
Mhm.
made, comes up on the wall. Is that young version of you going to believe your life turned out this way?
Hmm. I would like to think so. The young version of me was probably a little too cocky to realize all the bumps in the road, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. Like, I think that's the reality, man, is he would have been like, damn, well, that's some shit I got to go through. Like, I thought it was going to be a little more A to B, but I think that's, yeah, it would have kind of it would have surprised the 18-year-old, but I think ultimately, like, all right, buckle up, this is going to be all right
Yeah,
eventually. You know what I mean?
totally. What about retirement? What when those words, that word comes up in your brain,
Mm,
how do you process that word?
I can't stand that word.
Yeah.
I hate that word. I let me preface it by this though. I respect those that are on a journey to that. Totally do. But for me personally, I don't really set up anything to where I'd ever want to. Everything I'm trying to do is till my last breath, man. Like, I'm not trying to make music to be cool or write to be cool, or like it's just all stuff that I'm gonna enjoy at 85 if I'm still here, and 95 I'm gonna still be doing it. And I think also we could pull enough examples of people who have done that. I think, man, I had a what was he? He was like a great uncle that was a painter, and he lived 105, and he painted every day. And like, he was out in Tennessee, and they did this thing called what was it, Tennessee Backroads or something on him, and he was like 100 when they did it. And it just, like, I'm like, dang, man, like, that's exactly what I'm trying to do here is you wake up, you got purpose in what you're doing, and you're ready to do it, and you wake up excited for it. So I'm not very good with just kind of hanging out, unfortunately. Maybe blessing and a curse, I don't know, but I'm not that good with that. It doesn't sit well. I almost would say I'm not that good with just the resting energy if I'm just resting,
Yeah.
it doesn't work for me.
Yeah. I feel it, man. So
Mm,
on that 60-second highlight reel on the wall, what are you the happiest about? What are you the proudest of?
well, I would say first and foremost, being a father
Yeah.
is the one that has to go first. Being a husband and being a good son, I think is there too, because I think the interpersonal, the personal connections and things, um, I'm proud of, and I think those are worth sacrifices. Those are worth the ebbs and flows to have in there. And so I would say that. Um, I would also say that enduring and I'm proud of releasing a book. I'm proud of the vulnerability of putting that out there and just saying, hey, this is what it is. I'm gonna give it to y'all to check out and hopefully to get something out of. And if it sits right with you, beautiful. If you get something out of it, beautiful. But either way, it's gonna go out. Um, I think that's right there, and then obviously musically, um, to have continued and endured and continue to grow as an artist, is there for me too.
So, Ben, at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, fans, everyone that knows you in a professional business sense, but you run the show.
Hmm.
What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Hmm, that's a great question. Um, I think I'm just someone who's always seeking, always looking to better themselves and looking to just always looking to learn, but then also definitely I'm curious. I think ultimately I'm seeking out I'm seeking out more at all times. And so learn more about myself, learn more about my environment, learn more about craft. So I would say it's not the greatest wording, but like a student of life, I think is what I would put as to how I kind of operate. I'm always, even though sometimes it's very hard to hear the truth on things, I'm always definitely willing to take it in and say, all right, let me see what within that I can learn from and grow from, and do better with.
So, somebody out there that's listening in podcast land, they want to pick up a good book, a good new book.
Hmm.
Give me the elevator pitch. Why should they pick up Rise and Climb?
Well, I think we've all been through some things that potentially can derail us. Um, Rise and Climb, Purpose Through Pain to me is about that subtle decisions that we make to make the changes to go after what we want. And so if you're picking up Rise and Climb, Finding Purpose Through Pain, goal of this book is to come out of it with a little bit of inner motivation, like, what, I could see myself a little bit in this story. And I think there's some things that I want to change to help myself progress and fill in the blank on what category that is. But I do believe that after a read, there should be a little bit of motivation to say, what, I just want to hear that. Like, what, I think I'm gonna fill in the blank, man. That's what I want right there. And I think that's what uh, readers will get out of it, or listeners, because the audiobook obviously is a good method to listen to get it into.
Absolutely. So, if anybody wants to delve into your world, get the book, music, real estate, all of the good business, where do they go?
You can go to my website, Rise and Climb. So it's Rise and then an N, Climb, like Guns N' Roses, Rise and Climb.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's music on there, but the music's obviously on Spotify, Apple, all these places. The book is on Amazon, Audible, Barnes and Noble, bunch of different places you can get the book. Um, and then deep dive, and then let me know what please. I love people reaching out and letting me know what they think, and that's part of the joy of this, is connecting to people, man. This is one of those bridges that I believe we all need more of. But I think personally, I love connecting on on common ground with people. you know.
Absolutely. And it's kind of like this podcast world, man. That's what we're doing. We're all connecting and celebrating who we are. Ben, thank you, sir. Thank you for taking a minute out today. It's a wonderful story. Best of luck on the book, the music, everything, man. It's great.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And